Good morning, it's New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling, and boy, have I got a show today. My guest today, we're titled New Thought Talk. We have New Thought and spades today. My guest today is Dr. Harry Morgan Moses. He is an author. He is an international speaker. He was a co-founder of Anton. He sat as a senior advisor to the Emerson Institute. He was part of a group that in 1999 that went to the Dalai Lama's home in India and did some work there on global consciousness. He's an incredible guy, and on top of all that, he lives, eats, breathes, speaks, teaches New Thought probably like no one else alive. Dr. Harry, welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Oh, well, thank you. I like to. I'm going to use that intro. I'm going to quote that stuff. That's lovely. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You know, obviously, New Thought is my passion. I kind of get that it's your passion. You have had such an interesting and diverse life within the New Thought teaching and philosophy. You're very accomplished in so many ways, and you've accomplished so many things. Why don't you tell us, how did Harry Morgan Moses, the young man, become Dr. Harry Morgan Moses, the accomplished New Thoughter?
How did it get so old? I just spent the night. We had the wonderful good fortune, my wife and I, our son, said, could you babysit while we go to the movies? So we ended up going for a sleepover with the grandbaby. So that's part of it. You know, I think David Hawkins, the wonderful author of Power versus Force, he says, I don't really know how anybody makes it to 50, but really life begins at 50.
Yeah, it was there some time back.
Well, for me, the story goes back. I was 20 years old. I think I just turned 20 years old, and I got hit with a crippling disease, and that put me in the hospital. And I went from being what I used to say is happy, healthy, and horny into somebody hospitalized who was being told he would never be able to walk further than to the bathroom and back. And I looked at the doctors and I said, well, I'm a skier, so that's not going to work. And they sort of said, well, that's a tough deal. And my brother called, because he had been seeing somebody who you probably know in your history of New Thought, a guy in New York City named Raymond Charles Barker.
Oh, yeah.
Who had been lecturing in Lincoln Hall for a number of years. And my brother, at that time, was singing in New York. He was part of the Robin Williams and Richard Lewis group that was all part of the Improv. Oh. And he was one of the singers at that time. And he had always had chronic throat problems. And so, interesting, a singer from the West Side in Beverly Hills of Los Angeles in New York City with throat problems with an ear, nose, and throat doctor in Los Angeles. And it was not a very tenable situation. So he went to see Raymond Charles Barker. He heard one lesson. He heard he could go have a private appointment with him. And at the time, it took like 3 weeks to get a private appointment. And he got a private appointment. He had one appointment, and he never had throat problems again. Well, he had just gone through this experience a few months before I ended up in the hospital at 20 years old. And he said, there's a guy who teaches the same stuff that Raymond Charles Barker, in this case, it was called the Church of Religious Science, which is, as you know, the Holmesian, Ernest Holmes version of New Thought philosophy. Right. And there are the Fillmores and divine science and the big history, and of course the Transcendentalists going back to the 1875s. So we're part of a lineage of thought. It's not, doesn't belong to any one person, but there's certainly some key players in it. Well, anyway, Raymond Charles Barker was a Holmesian New Thought metaphysician, and there was one of those teachers at one of those centers, which was in those days called the Church of Religious Science, just a few blocks away from my hospital. And he asked if I would like that minister to come over. Well, I didn't even know in those days that we had ministers that were called doctor, but he was called Dr. Hart. And Dr. William Hart came to see Moses. Hart came to see Moses, and he gave me a new idea. Now, remember, there's usually two ways we get interested in some serious philosophy or some serious way of life. One is by divine inspiration, which would be a burning bush or an illumination or a divine insight, and the other one is by desperation. And most people get into the teaching by desperation, not by inspiration. And depending on how desperate the situation is, that thought force, that feeling force, that power force makes a big difference in how fast one embodies the ideas, right? So I was in a desperate situation. All of these doctors were giving me hopeless scenarios, telling me I'd be on medications for the rest of my life, that I would never be able to walk farther than to the bathroom and back, that surgeries were inevitable. I mean, just the list for a 20-year-old who'd always been healthy was unbelievably terrible. And Dr. Hart came in and he said, you know, we live in a world of infinite possibilities and you're one with that world, and you could change all of this. And he shook my hand and walked out the door.
Yeah.
And there was a billboard outside my hospital room with a big sign, all in black letters across the sign said tough, which is how I sort of thought things were. And this guy he said that to me, and I looked over at that billboard that said tough, and I started to laugh. Now, I didn't know at the time that there is something in spirituality called a divine laugh or a cosmic laugh. And with that, certainly it's well known in among Hindus and ancient traditions.
Right.
But with that cosmic laugh, very often comes light, the same kind of light that's associated with the burning bush, right? Well, I started to laugh, and I started to laugh so hard that the room started to turn into light, and as the room was turning into light, I was turning into light, and I didn't know if I was dying. I didn't know what was happening, but it was the most hysterical thing. And so I'm laughing so hard that all of the machines that are attached to me start sending off alarms, and the nurses come running in. And long story short, 24 hours after having met Dr. Hart, I was released from the hospital, and they said I was never walk again. That was in September, and I was skiing in January.
Oh, it must have been a medical misdiagnosis, Harry. And, you know, having a history in the healthcare professions, you often see that. But that's an amazing story and testimony. That is a burning bush, if you will, being, you know.
Well, like I say, so, you know, I believe in eternal life, and I believe, obviously, in re-embodiment. It means you come from, the Tibetan Book of the Dead says you came from the light, you put on a coat of skins, and you'll return to the light. And I definitely believe souls are eternal, and that we live everything that we've learned. And for whatever reason, I came in with this disposition, and as a young person, I was not walking what we would say in accord with my authentic self. And what looked like a terrible thing was, of course, a life changer and a game changer for me. And I've had a pretty wonderful and enriching life before, and a pretty wonderful and enriching life after. Of course, the difference is I now have an internal life which is rich.
What an incredible story. So you went on from that experience, and you began to
Dr.
study.
Hart came to my room, and then I became Dr. Hart.
Yeah, there you go.
So you said in the intro, you know, the thing that we had a dear friend in the movement named Mary Tumpkin. Mary Tumpkin was a good friend of mine, and knew Angie Pizzillo very well as well. We brought Mary out way back in the day when O.C. Smith had a big New Thought work in Los Angeles.
Right.
O.C. Smith was the singer who did God Didn't Make Little Green Apples.
Yeah.
And in all of the years I saw him perform as a friend, I never saw him do that song. He always never, somehow the sets, I was said, so one time I said, Os, I've known you so long, and I know you do that song, but every time I've been with you, you never do that song. I said, so I need to understand, what does it mean God doesn't make little green apples? He says, the line is, if that isn't love, then God doesn't make little green apples, and it don't rain in Indianapolis.
I want you to hold that thought. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue with O.C., Mary Tumpkin, and we're going to talk about some books that you've written. You got some good stuff going. So
thank you, sir.
On the flip side, we'll see you when we get back.
This segment is brought to you by Best Black Seed Oil. Feel better, heal better. Visit bestblackseedoil.com.
For all of your real estate needs, call Mike Briggs Properties, 559-486-6758, or check us out at MikeBriggsProperties.com. The Simonian family has been farming in the valley for 3 generations. Cold weather, drought, or accidents made ag investments risky. In 1951, C.D. Simonian started his own insurance agency to protect valley farmers from the uncertainty of the unknown. For your agricultural insurance needs, call C.D. Simonian Insurance Agency at 559-834-5333 or visit us on the web at cdsimonianinsurance.com.
For Italian cuisine, you've grown up knowing that DeCicco's in Clovis has the best. Now, for grown-ups, DeCicco's Lounge at Clovis and 4th in downtown Clovis for your after-work relaxation and all of your special events needs. DeCicco's Clovis Lounge. Future Prospects Baseball invites you to visit their state-of-the-art facility. Our coaches have years of professional experience that can help you improve your baseball or softball skills in private or group lessons. Drop by for the day or become a monthly or yearly member or join one of our age-appropriate travel teams. Bring your future prospects by weekdays from 3 to 9 p.m. or noon to 5 on weekends. Future Prospects Baseball, 5125 North Gates, just north of Shaw Avenue, or call 274-9930. Find us on the web at futureprospectscentral.com.
Are you currently shopping for solar? Give Solar Negotiators a call. You see, what they do is they fill downtime at a reduced rate to make sure that you always get the best deal. Don't find out later that you could have bought your solar for thousands of dollars less. Call Solar Negotiators.
If you're looking to go solar with confidence and have someone represent you in this transaction, give Solar Negotiators a call at 844-OWN-SOLAR or visit solarnegotiators.com.
You have sleep questions? Mattress Land Sleep Fit has real answers. I feel like people need a map to find their way around some mattress stores.
No, what people actually need is BedFit. It's a diagnostic system that maps your body for you. It measures your height, your weight, your distribution of weight. It actually measures your lumbar curve and how flexible that is, along with a little bit of pain questions, and we're going to find the right fit for you.
The right fit for me?
The right fit for you.
Shouldn't have bought that GPS.
Yeah, it was probably a bad move on your part.
Mattress Land Sleep Fit. The right bed, the right experience, the right price.
Viewers of Central Valley Talk, what is your home worth? The experienced agents of Mike Briggs Properties are offering a free property valuation if you mention Central Valley Talk. Find the value of your property for free. Call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mention Central Valley Talk. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. This segment is brought to you by Plexus Worldwide Ambassador Wendy Smith. 559-259-9549. Find us at fresnoslim.myplexusproducts.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back. It's New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. And my guest today is the incredible Dr. Harry Morgan Moses. When we left for the break, Dr. Harry was talking to us about O.C. Smith and Mary Tumpkin, who used to be or was the president of UFBL, and she made her transition last year. Harry, let's pick it up where we left off.
And basically, she was a disciple of Johnny Coleman. So
right.
I had the great fortune of being able to know and work with all these people, so it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
But anyway, Mary had this great line, and Mary's line said, the thing about New Thought, and I think we mentioned it a little bit in the show earlier, is New Thought is a body of work that has continued to spiral, continued to grow based on the practitioners within it. So there is a whole body of work that's now more, 1875. We're a real tradition at this point. Still a new tradition related to the old world religions, but how many lives have been well lived, not by having read a few books or going to a seminar, but by rather having adopted a way of life which is revealed through practicing the principles you learn in New Thought. Does that make sense?
That makes absolute sense. And one of the things is, if you look around the world today, particularly in the Western world, a lot of what was New Thought back in the beginning of our philosophy is now part of the mainstream consciousness.
Right.
People don't even realize that it's associated with something called New Thought.
Well, and that's what and they don't really. So energy and matter equal changeable. We get that now.
Yeah.
Science has now revealed that at every level. Now we're into quantum mechanics, and quantum mechanics is really saying consciousness seems to be the intermediary between energy and matter.
Right.
They actually say this, and then you would think with that knowledge that we'd have more interested in, well, who are the people who know about consciousness? Well, you could go, well, the Buddhists know about consciousness.
Right.
They've been studying that for thousands of years. Well, but they haven't been studying it from a Western point of view, from within the Judeo-Christian myth, which is the birth of the Christ or the cosmic one, or the coming of the awakening self, the I am that I am. And you penetrate that with something as simple as thought? Wow. Well, yes, but so here's where I think it gets separated, and we made a little reference to this in our private conversation off air, which is what really makes the difference in a New Thought metaphysician is the quality of their practice. And the practice becomes not only your daily spiritual quietness, but also becomes what that calls you to be. If you believe there's only one power, and that power is perfect, and it's the perfect life of God, and that's the I am at the very center of my being, it's the giver of all life, love, and beauty, then aren't I called to get to know that? Aren't I called to become familiar with that? When Ernest says that which is, the Bible says, is closer than your very neck vein.
Exactly.
At first we think it's thoughts becoming things. But then it becomes, you mean I'm one with the one and my very beingness is co-creating with the infinite? I mean, this is some cool stuff.
It's great. And talking about science and stuff, neuroscience today, they've done a lot of study in the brain, functions of various aspects of the brain. We're actually hardwired for spirituality. They've found a mechanism that says, you have that urge. We've been talking about it spiritually for years, and that's just, you really hit the nail.
This book, I'm going to use the segue because this is my newest book, which, by the way, took me 10 years to get out. So I don't know how new it is, but it took me a long time to get it out because it's so simple, and you had to tell stories that were relevant. You had to sort of live the stories.
Right.
And this is about habits and attitudes. Now, habits and attitudes, called Obvious Power. It's available on Amazon. Just Google Harry Morgan Moses or go to Amazon, look for Obvious Power. Or you can go to newthought.com and get it, too.
Actually, we have it set up on a link to the bookstore on this page for people that are watching. They can do it right now.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah.
But what it's about, Steve, is something as simple as every human being on Earth. It's not about color. It's not about creed. It's not about diversity. It's not about inclusivity. It's about nothing political at all. Every human being on Earth has habits and attitudes. And those mechanisms, which are universal, create for everybody, whether you're conscious of them or not.
Yeah. I like Holmes's line, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You're still subject to the consequences.
This is how it works.
Yeah.
And you say, well, and the key is, how to live by it. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So you would say, and you're a doctor of chiropractic. For many years you were practicing holistic healing, the idea of things being in alignment, and when things are in alignment, the systems are meant to work in harmony, and the divine design is that harmony. Am I telling the truth?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're looking in this, you're working with this your whole life, and then all of a sudden it says, well, then I'm working with the life force. How can how can I work more with the life force? And the answer is, well, everybody's working with the life force according to their thoughts and attitudes.
Exactly.
Oh, well, okay. And what's the big problem? Well, the big problem is a brain. The problem is literally your brain, because the brain, fires 60,000 times a day, right?
Yeah.
Those are, if we put those on a electromagnet, what we see is electrical impulses. From on the inside, those are thoughts, right? So you got 60,000 thoughts a day, and they're repeating themselves all the time. How are you going to get a new thought if you don't learn how to meditate and how to be still and how to find your center?
Exactly, and it takes something that, when people come to New Thought, oftentimes they come with, well, they heard that it's this way that they can create stuff in their lives. But there's a catch to it. It's called personal responsibility. Conscious consciousness doesn't just happen.
How about create something in your life? How about something even better? How about create a life?
Yeah, exactly.
A whole life, not something in your life. How about if your life feels like it's part of life, which is the way it should be? You don't see a daisy. That's what Jesus said to the lilies of the field when he talked about. You don't see lilies of the field struggling to be lilies of the field, and they're not fighting against everything else to get what they want.
No.
They're just being lilies. And humans are equipped to do that.
This is what your book, Obvious Power, addresses, isn't it, Harry?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it talks about installing those, that you have to become conscious. My favorite line in probably all of New Thought philosophy happens to be Ernest Holmes' line. He says, the Spirit of God is found in your conscious mind, meaning you personally have to wake up to it. You have to be aware of it. The I am within each one of us has to be aware of it. That's what consciousness means.
Exactly.
Right? Well, and I don't mean to be I mean to be enthusiastic, but not, I'm not trying to, whack anybody with a ruler or anything. But, the fact is, I look at the world and I participate in the world. And I have a daily meditation practice. Mm-hmm. And I've been involved in daily meditation practice since the 1970s. Probably became dedicated to daily in the 80s, 10 years after I began. And the idea of me, of not having a meditation in my day, to me, I don't even know how you would know who you are without doing that. And it's not, I'm just saying this is my experience of it. And there's so much hustle of the mind that's going too fast when the soul isn't going that fast. And the soul is in charge, but your mind is the way to get it to be in charge.
Exactly. And, again, so many people, they live an unconscious consciousness as they go through their day-to-day life,
Right.
But yet the possibility, the potential of such a different reality is right there before them. It's one of the things Holmes says is God gives you the entire gift. You can only receive what you're open to.
But the fundamental one, you see how that is? Okay, it says, and we say God is that which is first cause, that which is the beginning. We say that which is first cause is love, joy, wisdom, peace, harmony, all things that are eternally good. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, we as humans are having a life, by the time we woke up usually, where all things are not eternally good. I certainly didn't think laying in the hospital, being injected with everything in the universe, being at the edge of death was particularly good. However, it got my consciousness to turn toward that which was good and on that which I could rely. And now you're now talking, this is now 38 years later. So, and what kind of life have I had in that 38 years? And the answer is spectacular. But when you say, for example, well, God is harmony and I am that, well, Steve, Reverend Steve, Dr. Steve, how does that mean you have to act in the world?
Well, you have to make a choice initially to act in alignment with what it is that you're learning to know.
Exactly.
And that's the catch. You have to make that choice.
That's right. So you can't say, well, I believe in God that is all peace and not have any peace within you.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't work.
I believe God is harmony, but I'm going to live in judgment and fear and all this sort of stuff.
Right, exactly. It's a huge responsibility when you realize that not only is everything in the universe connected, but literally it's impossible for you to have a thought that's not connected in the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why Mary Baker Eddy, who went really strict with New Thought ideas, but was basically a New Thought metaphysician.
Right.
She got a little full of maybe her ego a little bit, but the point of the matter is, she's absolutely right. If you know that your thought is connected to everything, then stand porter to the door of thought. That was her line.
Yeah.
Stand porter to the door of thought, meaning if I go to New York City, where my dad, when my parents got divorced, oh yes, I have one of those stories too, right? When they got divorced, my dad moved to New York City. So he lived in a building where there were porters. Well, what did the porters in those days? There were no electronic doors. There were porters.
Right.
What was the job of the porter? The job of the porter was to open the door for the people that belonged and to keep the door closed for the people who didn't belong.
Exactly.
Well, when Mary Baker Eddy said, stand porter to the door of thought, what she means is each one of us is responsible for what thoughts we're allowing to go on within our own heads.
Oh, boy, that responsibility word, that's a big one. We're going to take our next break, and we're going to pick this up. When we come back, we're going to talk about New Thought, because I got the New Thought King online, and this is a good conversation. See you when we come back.
This segment brought to you by Tioga Sequoia Brewery. Central Valley Talk is fueled by Tioga Sequoia Brewery in downtown Fresno.
The Simonian family has been farming in the valley for 3 generations. Cold weather, drought, or accidents made ag investments risky. In 1951, C.D. Simonian started his own insurance agency to protect valley farmers from the uncertainty of the unknown. For your agricultural insurance needs, call C.D. Simonian Insurance Agency at 559-834-5333 or visit us on the web at cdsimonianinsurance.com. For all of your real estate needs, call Mike Briggs Properties, 559-486-6758, or check us out at MikeBriggsProperties.com.
Can't find a copier or printer that fits your needs? Are the costs for printing just too high? A+ Business Systems focuses on what you need. A+ Business Systems will reduce downtime with automated alerts via email, notifying us when your printer is low on supplies, all for low, affordable monthly costs. Have you ever had a desk looking like this? A+ Business Systems will set up paperless office electronic document management software where you store every important document. With A+, there's no worry about digging through archived documents. Our electronic filing system provides the speed and efficiency to search and retrieve documents to meet the demands of modern-day businesses. Learn more about A+ Business Systems, software, services, and more at apluscopiers.net or call us at 559-442-3564.
Future Prospects Baseball invites you to visit their state-of-the-art facility. Our coaches have years of professional experience that can help you improve your baseball or softball skills in private or group lessons. Drop by for the day or become a monthly or yearly member or join one of our age-appropriate travel teams. Bring your future prospects by weekdays from 3 to 9 p.m. or noon to 5 on weekends. Future Prospects Baseball, 5125 North Gates, just north of Shaw Avenue, or call 274-9930. Find us on the web at futureprospectscentral.com.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
Viewers of Central Valley Talk, what is your home worth? The experienced agents at Mike Briggs Properties are offering a free property valuation if you mention Central Valley Talk. Find the value of your property for free. Call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mention Central Valley Talk. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. This segment is brought to you by Teched Out Computer Solutions in Visalia. If you have viruses, adware, or a slow computer, contact Teched Out Computer in Visalia at Mooney and Caldwell.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back. It's New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. And my phenomenal guest today is Reverend Dr. Harry Morgan Moses. And we were talking about, as we went to the last break, his book, Obvious Power and New Thought and Energy and Responsibility. Dr. Harry, this book that you've got, that you just published, the new book, because you had a previous book called It's So Easy When You Know How, which has been a very popular book. It's in multiple printings. But this book actually you kind of lay out the evolution of putting power, this available power into use in your life.
Yeah, and the stories of how it showed up in my life in various ways, shapes, and forms. So and that story continues to emerge. I really believe that there is such magic in co-creating in tune with spirit in terms of lives that work, creating a life that really works and a life that we feel good about living. To be blessed as to wanting to always having wanted to be a father and to now be a grandfather, and to see the levels of sweetness that continue to be revealed, including the capacity to work little magical miracles in our lives on a regular basis. If you don't see the hand of spirit blessing you all the time, but again, how does God doesn't pick favorite people to bless?
No,
I mean, it's not like God likes this one and doesn't like her and likes him, and it doesn't go that way. It depends on what the self is doing. How much good fortune one has, how much love, how much harmony, how much joy, depends on how much of those things you're commingling with. How much are you practicing it?
Oh, absolutely.
How much do you bring that into the world?
I talk to people, and I tell them, I said, well, when you woke up this morning, what was the first thing on your mind? Did you go, gosh, I've been blessed with a great day and I haven't even gotten into it and it's wonderful? Or you go, oh, I got this thing I got to get done, or I got that. What are you affirming for your day? I mean, it starts right there. But
I believe my teaching out of Burbank at the Spirit Work Center is don't get out of bed, and all my students know it. I highly recommend you do not get out of bed until you can greet the day. Now, it so happens that a lot of my spiritual practice happens before I get out of bed.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody should get out. Now, that doesn't mean then people say, well, what if you have to pee? I said, well, then go pee and know you're perfect assimilation, perfect circulation, perfect elimination, and you're one with the pattern of wholeness.
There you go.
And then go back and greet the day.
Exactly. I do pretty much a similar type of morning, spiritual work, meditation. Before I ever open up to anything else, I open up to that which is within me and allow that to express all the goodness that's there, and
that's spiritual practice, and that's what you talk about, a way of life. We used to say that the science of mind philosophy, which is New Thought philosophy, is a faith, a philosophy, and a way of life. And I know for sure, for me, it's a way of life.
And you've developed a habitude. Why don't you tell us about habitudes?
Well, habitudes are just exactly what when I came up with that term, as I say, more than 10 years ago, I think somebody else came up with that idea. We know an idea known anywhere is known everywhere, so you can't sit around on an idea. But basically, a habitude is a combination of habits and attitudes. And what we all know is every one of us has a habit. Now, we have good habits and we have bad habits. But here's the good news. Both your body and your mind acquire habits the same way, by the repetition of thought. A thought followed by an action, a thought followed by an action, a thought followed by an action will create a habit, no matter what you do about it. Now, for example, I drink coffee. Now, I'm a Welsh Scotch Irishman. We come from a long line of coffee drinkers and tea drinkers, so, it's in the blood.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of needing to have a cup of coffee in the morning. But I have given myself that habit. And for me not to do it, unfortunately, I don't get headaches or any of that stuff. But boy, if I can't have my morning cup of coffee, I'm like, not quite right, And this is a habit that I created. Now, I don't need it before I greet the day, before I get out of bed, before I know who and what I am. And then I fall into my human desire self,
right.
and I want that. But, I am also in the habit of cleaning the kitchen. I cook a lot at home, and I make a mess when I cook, but I'm in the habit of cleaning it. Right? I'm in the habit of making my bed. I'm in the habit of brushing my teeth. Fortunately for me, I've been in the habit of flossing for 40 years.
Yeah.
Now, if I don't do any of those things, it's the old thing that we've been doing for years. Take your hands together, which thumb goes on the top?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We cross our hands, which thumb goes on the top? Well, now cross them and put the other thumb on the top. Right? And we go, oh, that's not the way I usually do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're in the habit of doing it that other way.
Mm-hmm.
And every human being, from every race, from every culture, it works the same way for everybody. Thought followed by action creates a habit.
Right.
Right? Now, on the other hand, go ahead. Excuse me.
Well, that's okay. And our belief system comes about from our thought habits. And that's another area where I see the good news is everything that we believe today, we had to learn at some point in time, which means those beliefs that don't serve us or serve us well, we can learn new beliefs.
Right. So I grew up I was baptized in the Episcopal Church.
Okay.
Right. So we learned the prayer: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it already is in heaven. So the prayer goes on and on. Well, then we in New Thought, we have another kind of prayer, different kind of words, but it's the same idea. I know there's one power. That power is perfect. That power is the perfect life of God, and that power is my life right here and right now. Now, we can repeat those without thinking because the mind acquires habits the same way the body does.
Mm-hmm.
It acquires habits by the repetition of thought, right? So a New Thought person, then we say, if I'm one with the one, and the one creates because it loves itself, and because it loves the joy of self-discovery, then I am that one, and I am the place where that love is, and I'm the place where that joy is, and where that self-discovery is. Well, now that sort of means I cannot drive around on the freeway. I live in Los Angeles. You cannot drive around on the freeway using your fingers as a way to express yourself.
No, that is unless you're given the peace sign.
That's all you're allowed to do.
No, that's true, and I want to use that kind of to transition into New Thought today. How do you see New Thought as we know that it's really integrated itself in some ways into society, but it's unknown in most of society, I believe. What do you see New Thought? What do you see, where we're going and the potential for growth? Because my personal belief, now is our time. Right now is the time of New Thought.
Okay, I'm gonna call all of us to task to answer this question. So here's the deal. I just came from a conference, and as you know, I was a co-founder of Anton, and I organized conferences there for 8 years, the first 8 years. I've been hanging out with this tribe for quite a while. And this tribe basically, as I believe, Jesus was a Jew. We're very clear about that. History is very clear about that. He had the same Bible, the same Old Testament that we have, which they now, and the Jews call the Torah, separated from the New Testament. But it doesn't matter, it's the same exact Bible. The beginning, the Psalms all come from there. In the beginning, God all comes from there. Everything knows that. And then this Jewish guy looked at the material, he looked at what the philosophy of the day was, and he said, you guys are looking at a philosophy that's in a book, and it's not in a book, it's a living reality. And that created a tremendous amount of heresy, right?
Yeah.
That was the chaos that busted things out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now that same guy, and by the way, I believe that Jesus in today's world would be considered an advanced New Thought metaphysician. That's what everything he teaches is.
You bet.
Right? So the most then advanced New Thought metaphysician that ever was, right, who said that I am one with the one, you are one with the one, you are one with me, there's only one thing going on. That's right out of the scripture, right? This guy says, these things and more shall you do, right?
Exactly.
Right. So now he caused the blind to see, the lame to walk, the deaf to hear. He calmed the storms, turned the water into wine. Doesn't mean he liked some fun, right?
Yeah.
He had a bad day. He was mean to that fig tree, right? But some kind of mojo was happening in his relationship with life. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now you and I, there's a great book called Shortcut to a Miracle. if you don't know about quantum science and you would like to understand it. There's a very good book called Shortcut to a Miracle.
Yeah.
And now we have the merging of science and philosophy. That's the very first line of Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind book.
It is.
We all look forward to the day when science and philosophy walk hand in hand from the visible to the invisible. That's his exact words.
Yes, it is.
Right? Well, that's the day we're in now. So, in my view, the way for New Thought to get to its next level is, first of all, to allow it to go into the hands of the millennials, which is my children's age, the 31s and 32s and younger.
Yeah.
Right? Because they understand how to use technology. They're willing to use the technology. And I'm not saying give anything over, but I say integrate that generation, because we're falling way behind in our capacity to communicate. And that's not good.
No, it's not.
And we were forerunners in that, in little pamphlets and ways of getting information out. New Thought was way ahead of the curve. So we're behind the curve. But moreover, now I'm a grandpa now, right? So I'll tell you what, I want more grandchildren. That's what I want. I want a richer life and more grandchildren and a lot more fun, and I want to grow from here. But I'm not going to start whole new churches and do whole new things unless God says I have to. But I will do everything I can to support this idea, right? And what I believe is that the first part of my being able to support this idea is for me to practice making miracles come into my life, because I have no reason not to. I have enough knowledge to know that I have every right to create miracles.
Exactly.
So I need to practice.
And it starts within each
so
of
much
us.
so that everybody can see it. Now, right now, I have miracles in my own life, everyday miracles. This is why I teach this, because I don't want to be selfish. This is too great. Everybody could have this. But it takes practice, right? And you don't become a doctor of anything without working at it for a while.
No.
Do you?
No. Practice makes improvement, my friend, and improvement takes us towards perfection. We're going to cut away to our third and final break. I have really enjoyed this conversation. We'll see you when we come back.
This segment is brought to you by Best Black Seed Oil. Feel better, heal better. Visit bestblackseedoil.com.
For all of your real estate needs, call Mike Briggs Properties, 559-486-6758, or check us out at MikeBriggsProperties.com. The Simonian family has been farming in the valley for 3 generations. Cold weather, drought, or accidents made ag investments risky. In 1951, C.D. Simonian started his own insurance agency to protect valley farmers from the uncertainty of the unknown. For your agricultural insurance needs, call C.D. Simonian Insurance Agency at 559-834-5333 or visit us on the web at cdsimonianinsurance.com.
For Italian cuisine, you've grown up knowing that DeCicco's in Clovis has the best. Now, for grown-ups, DeCicco's Lounge at Clovis and 4th in downtown Clovis for your after-work relaxation and all of your special events needs. DeCicco's Clovis Lounge. Future Prospects Baseball invites you to visit their state-of-the-art facility. Our coaches have years of professional experience that can help you improve your baseball or softball skills in private or group lessons. Drop by for the day or become a monthly or yearly member or join one of our age-appropriate travel teams. Bring your future prospects by weekdays from 3 to 9 p.m. or noon to 5 on weekends. Future Prospects Baseball, 5125 North Gates, just north of Shaw Avenue, or call 274-9930. Find us on the web at futureprospectscentral.com.
Are you currently shopping for solar? Give Solar Negotiators a call. You see, what they do is they fill downtime at a reduced rate to make sure that you always get the best deal. Don't find out later that you could have bought your solar for thousands of dollars less. Call Solar Negotiators.
If you're looking to go solar with confidence and have someone represent you in this transaction, give Solar Negotiators a call at 844-OWN-SOLAR or visit solarnegotiators.com.
You have sleep questions? Mattress Land Sleep Fit has real answers. I feel like people need a map to find their way around some mattress stores.
No, what people actually need is BedFit. It's a diagnostic system that maps your body for you. It measures your height, your weight, your distribution of weight. It actually measures your lumbar curve and how flexible that is, along with a little bit of pain questions, and we're going to find the right fit for you.
The right fit for me?
The right fit for you.
Shouldn't have bought that GPS.
Yeah, it was probably a bad move on your part.
Mattress Land Sleep Fit. The right bed, the right experience, the right price.
Viewers of Central Valley Talk, what is your home worth? The experienced agents of Mike Briggs Properties are offering a free property valuation if you mention Central Valley Talk. Find the value of your property for free. Call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mention Central Valley Talk. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. This segment is brought to you by Plexus Worldwide Ambassador Wendy Smith. 559-259-9549. Find us at fresnoslim.myplexusproducts.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back. This is our final segment. My guest today has been Dr. Harry Morgan Moses, and I have really enjoyed it. Before we go into the segment, I want to just make sure that we get it out. He has a couple of web pages, spiritworks.com, where you can go and you can get all sorts of good stuff. He's got newthought.com, where you can find out a lot of information about him and his two wonderful books, Obvious Power and It's So Easy When You Know How. It's a very popular book. It's out there. You can also pick that book up off our book link at the top of the page if you're watching the show today. You don't want to miss this stuff, folks. It's been really good. There's a lot of great information. He is a heck of a resource. And Harry, I've been really pleased to have you on the show today. So anyway, we got New Thought figured out.
Good to see Angie's disciples out there doing such a good job.
Oh, thank you. You know, I refer to him as my fuzzy buddy. This guy.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, you know, he had a vision. Angie had a vision. And unfortunately, we were able to link it to a way to get it out in the world. It's been a beautiful thing.
And it's amazing to me how it all unfolded. Oakhurst, I moved up there. My practice was in Simi Valley, and when I retired, I moved up to Oakhurst to be in this little bitty nowhere place. And, you know, from that little bitty nowhere place, his reach spans globally, and it's a powerful reach.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a good demonstration, we call that.
Exactly. It's amazing. And he is an amazing individual, and I'm pleased to call him.
We're talking about your former guest, Angelo Pizzello, Dr. Angelo Pizzello, of the Emerson Institute.
Yeah, he's a heck of a guy. So for Dr. Harry Morgan Moses, what are you looking at over the next couple years?
Well, right now, you know, I have a center in Burbank. I travel all over I was in the UK last summer. I've been in Mexico to speak. I'll go wherever I'm supposed to go to share these ideas. And I have more books to write. I mean, I'm nowhere near. I'm a grandfather, but I'm nowhere near done.
I have 5 grandkids now.
There you go. We have work to do in the world. So
yeah.
So we're doing it, and I'm very pleased. But as I say, I really, there's the veil between spirit and matter is thin, and so it looks like it's supernatural.
Exactly.
But you know, things time out in our favor all the time, and if we pay attention, we'll start to see there's a way you can participate with that. We call it flow.
Yeah.
Or and to be in the flow is divine bliss, and to be in the flow with the body. Man, that is a heck of a combination. And then you get planet Earth. Wow, there's some good things. There's some life to be thrilled in right here on this planet. That's for sure.
And you know, we live in such an exciting time where the realization of these principles, the realization that we can put them into practice in our lives, the realization that we can create an energy of peace, not only within ourselves, but peace in the world. Within us, right here. It starts in this generator right here, and it expands out. And as you know, it's like the people talk about, you know, one candle lighting another candle, lighting another candle. The first candle's light never diminishes, but the light begins to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, we call in New Thoughts, the multiplicity comes out of unity.
Yeah, exactly.
And the vision is that multiplicity can return to unity. And it doesn't mean divine individuality isn't celebrated. It is. It's just like snowflakes. Everyone is different. Everyone has its unique contribution, and everyone needs to do it. And the opportunity is for everybody to do it in harmony. And that's the way the universe actually has designed it. And, that's where the whole mythology of the fall came from. We fell out of divine harmony because you have to choose it. Well, we will always be that way. Within the wholeness, people say, if your God is so good, what about all the bad in the world? That's a very reasonable question, but let's go this way. Regardless of the bad in the world, will eternity continue on? And everybody says, apparently so.
Yeah.
Well, then good. So then then bad is not the nature of eternity.
No.
That's the nature of choice. Now, if there were two gods, you could have a God that was all good and a God that was all bad, and then we'd have this God and the devil fighting themselves out for eternity. But that's not what it is.
No.
There's a unity of life, and the potential is always to choose the one. But in order for it to choose harmony, but in order for it to do that, it requires you to choose it. If it didn't have the opportunity to choose the other, it wouldn't be all of God. It would be less than God.
Exactly.
So it has to have a place where divine individuality or the individual has a meaning in life, and its meaning is to say, I choose to live by divine harmony. Now, if I choose to live by divine harmony, that means I'm going to choose to be healthy. That means I'm going to choose to be wealthy. That means I'm going to choose to be successful, right? And that means I'm going to choose to be fulfilled, because anything else would not be harmony. Isn't that true?
That is true.
Well,
and
that's a heck of a call. And if you think you can go to a seminar, whether it's our friend Deepak Chopra's or the very successful Tony Robbins or Landmark or any other kind of forum or coaching seminar or whatever, if you think or anyone thinks that you can go to a one-day seminar or a 3-day retreat and all of a sudden create a life that works, that just doesn't work that way. No. It takes a while for you to get a hold of what I call those wily thoughts.
Exactly.
You had some pretty wily thoughts, and they created some pretty wily things. And you got to get reins on those wily thoughts, and it takes time. It takes time to see how wily you got. I mean, people believe in flu seasons and cold seasons as if the weather,
economy downturns and so on. Yeah.
Year. I mean, it's crazy what people believe in.
It is, and New Thought is a participating philosophy. It's not for the faint of heart or the couch sitters, So, listen.
Yes, and that's why I said, Mary Tumpkin, there is something to know, and it's like you can't know about the body. You went to get your license and do all that studying to become a doctor of chiropractic, but you had to know the whole body. You had to go to years of school. You had to take exams. You had to understand that stuff in order to get your license. But it gave you an understanding of the body, which enabled you to help other people.
Exactly.
Well, this is the same. If you want to learn about it, you've got to be willing to become a New Thought student, which means I'm interested in anything that has to do with living the truth.
There you go. Well, Dr. Harry, we've come to the end of our time, and it went extremely fast. I look forward to having you back on the show sometime in the future, and I look forward to seeing you up here in the Central Valley area, because you bring a powerful message, and it's a message that this drought, dry area, in more ways than just water, can really use. So
yeah, we can become the rainmakers. Exactly.
There you go, my friend. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for what you do.
Good work in the world, good doctor. I appreciate it.
Blessings, my friend. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Well, that was a heck of a show today, man. I just really enjoyed that. And real quick, before we leave, Dr. Harry was talking about learning, finding places and stuff. Real quick, I want to tell you can go to findacenter.com, where you can find a New Thought Center anywhere in the world that's nearest to where you're at. And if you have a computer, and you do if you're watching this show, you can go to newthoughtlibrary.com, and you can read online there many of the books from the founding New Thought pioneers. Powerful stuff. It is a powerful consciousness, and you can create a powerful life for you. And that is the wonder, the blessings, and the excitement of New Thought. So for this week, my friends, may the light of God surround you, may the love of God enfold you, and the power of God protect you, and the presence of God watch over you, because truly, wherever you are, if you heard Dr. Harry, wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Blessings, and make it a great week.
This segment is brought to you by BBO's Boutique, your home for the hottest contemporary fashions and the coolest vintage clothing and home furnishings. Located on Washon as it curves into Fulton, just south of the Tower Theater. BBO's Boutique, the heart of the Tower District.